wanted to talk a little bit about the Golden Dawn. That DJT, right? The Prez. There was some kind of a dinner or something, I guess maybe like yesterday, had all these heads of technology, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, talking about investing in America, investing in AI, and how, America is leading the world in AI, throwing around huge numbers like $600 billion being invested. I think that one was maybe, I'm not sure which one that was. But this isn't really about technology companies or economy. This is about AI being a very important part of the agenda, the image of the beast giving power to wicked spirits and demons, that they communicate, influence, lead, instruct, teach, direct, everything through that stuff. Okay, it's a genie in a bottle or a Ouija board on a whole new level. And it's very, very filled with power, like it's alluring on a level unlike anything that we've ever seen before. Visually, auditorily stimulating, captivating people, has a type of beauty to it, yapa, but it's not clean. And I, just like, don't mess with it, don't touch it. Plus, look at how these heads of companies, which, he says that they're geniuses, to understand that is like when the Donald said, I am a stable genius, I've shown in the etymology, that's him saying, I am a mighty demon, professing and proclaiming the power that is behind the vessel, that's indwelt in the vessel, that they go through the ritual of the inauguration all for and about, and it's like nobody listening. Hello, McFly, hello, right? Sheesh. Now look at the way they kind of bow down, kowtow, praise him and the quote-unquote first lady. Yeah. Crazy. High-level Baphomet worshippers. Okay? High level. I think it should maybe help someone out there. Go check out the playlist Trump on my channel and maybe get a little bit more. But also wanted to tell you that, he was saying that he's going to change the Department of Defense's name back to what it used to be, the War Department, but it's going to be the Department of War. Okay? That this is optics and comms and signaling. Okay? It's marking a timeline. I don't think we are far away from the time when the United States actually has to declare war because a foreign power is taking responsibility for an attack on U.S. assets, maybe on U.S. soil or maybe not, maybe abroad. It doesn't matter. The playbook is the same that they've always used to draw the U.S., which is the military arm of the cabal, the military arm. Washington, D.C., the city-state within a state, and the obelisk that's there, U.S. is a military. Okay? So, and multi-level attack on several cities all at once is coming to this land. And also on several different key pillars of this beast system. Power, water, internet, all the things, all at the same time. And drawing the people into the camps, right? So that they can have all the things provided for them because they don't know how to provide any of the things for themselves anymore. Just like all the third world countries became dependent upon U.S. aid, and when they pulled the rug out from underneath them it causes chaos, and it causes actually a lot of, well, we'll just call it the fourth horse of the apocalypse. Okay? You should know what that is. Let me see what my Yahusha is saying, and I'll be right back with you, okay? Baruk Yahuah. Somebody take that and edit it and share it. Alright, so Baruk Yahuah, yes, I'm back. Let's listen to what the Golden Dawn has to say in this ritual, right? The declaration, the executive order, the fancy signature, the whole thing, that it's going to be the Department of War again, you know? It's if you look from World War II to now, it hasn't been about defense, right? It's kind of laughable, you know, and I don't mean to offend anybody, because a lot of people go into the service and go, this is a noble, virtuous thing. I don't even know if those two words are clean. If you look at them, they're probably not, because they've filled our lips with all kinds of unclean words. But we are going around oppressing, fleecing, dominating everything, all over the whole world. You know, behind the propping up of every straw man leader and everything else. Okay, so stop worshiping the government, for real. Like, just stop. Okay, it's idolatry. You need to stop. So let's see what she has to say. Baruk Yahuah.
Yes, sir. This is H.R. 2808. This is the Homebuyers Privacy Protection Act. The congressman here was the lead sponsor, so I think maybe he can say more about it than I can.
Please. Well, it's difficult for Americans to buy a home, particularly after the last 4 years, sir. But with the president's signature today, we're going to make it easy for people to buy a home without getting hassled. For years, their private personal information has been bought and sold in the open market, resulting in them getting innumerable phone calls and text messages. But with your signature today, we're going to put an end to that, so that when Americans...
And it's funny, right? Because it's common sense legislation, quote unquote, to resolve an issue that they created in the first place. Problem, reaction, solution. You need to understand this part of their playbook, okay? It's like you're trying to play football game against a team that keeps running the same play on you over and over and over, and you can't figure out what's happening. Problem, they create the problem. Reaction, we all hate it. Solution, they come in as the savior, right? So this is how they've become worshipped by people. This is why people think that somehow government can solve all their problems. You just got to get the right people in there. Not understanding that everybody that's in there belongs to them. Or else it wouldn't be there. You need to understand that. The prince of the power of the air, the world rewards its own. They prop up their own. A ta'ut man can't just go and become a senator, a congressman, a governor, a mayor, whatever. This is part of the illusion. This is how the twin pillars of masonry work. Joachim and Boaz. Good cop, bad cop. Sorry for using those two terms. They're not clean terms, but it's something that people understand. And I want somebody to understand what I'm trying to say. May they understand, Abba, please.
Try to realize the American dream of owning a home. They're able to do so without being harassed.
Good job. Good. It's a great honor, John. Okay, there it is. And that's going to help a lot of the homeowners of our great country. John, want to hold that?
Sure.
Thank you, John, very much.
Thank you.
And so as we listen to this crap show, we can also take a look at some of the raping of Arats. how they profit off it. This is a huge thing. Very, very ugly.
Thank you very much. Okay, Will, you go ahead.
I'd like to leave you with this gift from a constituent back in Tennessee.
Oh, I could use that at night.
It's an American flag.
That's very nice. I like that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That's very nice.
Next, we have a number of executive orders for your attention, sir.
Okay.
From 1789 until 1947, our nation won some of its greatest military victories under the direction of a Secretary of War operating within a Department of War. Today, with this executive order, you will authorize the current Secretary of Defense and the current Department of Defense to once again embrace this great lineage and once again be named the Secretary of War and the Department of War.
So this is something we thought long and hard about. We've been talking about it for months. Pete and I and Dan. Dan came into the fold. By the way, a great general. He headed up the...
Sorry, there's a pop-up ad happening here. I'm gonna see if I can skip it.
Iran, you saw the success of that operation. It was perfect. In fact, this was sent to me by the great company that makes that particular B-2 bomber, and it was flawless. It was actually flawless. They flew for 37 hours back and forth, and there wasn't a bolt that was out of condition. There wasn't an engine failure. There was no problem. It was
I really do kind of wish that I could remember when and where I covered this. You know, if somebody can go through and get clips of this stuff and share it, that would be great. Help me out. May I will provide that. But Pete Hegseth and this General Kane broke down the operation where they obliterated the nuclear capabilities of Iran. And they held up a diagram illustrating these 3 tunnels by which they had precisely dropped their munitions. 6 in each of the 3 tunnels. 6, 6, 6. And the configuration of the tunnels was the trident. Okay? You need to understand that that's also a Luciferian symbol. So they're just, with all their high wizardry, the priests of Baal doing ritual in front of the masses, and the people that I loved, like for my life, just praising and worshiping this regime and thinking that that's clean. I mean, imagine that. They just show, it just so happens to be literally the perfect shape of a trident, and the center point of the spear longer than the 2 other ones, equidistant, 3 of them, 6 in this one, 6 in this one, 6 in this one. Come on, you guys. Come on, somebody please. Wake up. Wow. You know what I mean? And I put that information out there, and I don't think anybody's shared it, commented on it. I've seen nobody else talk about it before, and it's like, how are we missing that? How are we missing that, which is literally like right in front of our faces? Do you see what I mean? Okay? Baruk Atah.
perfect attack, and it knocked out any possible nuclear capability for Iran, which nobody wanted to see, and we weren't going to put up with. So great job, Dan. And we've been talking about this Department of War. So we won the First World War, we won the Second World War, we won everything before that and in between, and then we decided to go woke and we changed the name to Department of Defense. So we're going Department of War, and I'd like to ask our Secretary of War to say a few words. Pete Hegseth. I think it's a much more appropriate name, especially in light of where the world is right now. We have the strongest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest manufacturers of equipment by far. There's nobody to even compete, and you see that with this and so many other things. The Patriots are the best. Every element of
So weird, dude. If you're literally the best and you're on top of everything, why do you even need to be at war at all? Like, what's the point? How is that a reason to explain why it should be changed back to Department of War? Does that make any sense to anybody? By the way, when he says the greatest patriots, the patriot word it comes from the root word of compatriot, which is like a fellow brother in arms. Okay? So you need to understand that when he's declaring himself to be a genius or possessed by a devil, and he's saying that he has brothers in arms, and that's other people who are also part of that kingdom of darkness indwelt by jinn. Somebody wake up.
The military, we make the best by far. So Pete, I'd like to ask you and maybe Dan Raisin Kane to say a few words, please.
Mr. President, thank you.
See, he loves to emphasize that whole thing too. General Kane, Raising Kane, Two-Ball Kane. You guys know about that? You know Cain slew Abel, right? Okay.
After winning a war for independence in 1789, George Washington established the War Department, and Henry Knox was his first Secretary of War. And this country won every major war after that, to include World War I and World War II. Total victory, Mr. President, as you said. Then 150 years after that, we changed the name after World War II from the Department of War to the Department of Defense in 1947. And as you pointed out, Mr. President, we haven't won a major war since, and that's not to disparage our warfighters, whether it's the Korean War or the Vietnam War or our generation.
Are these clowns like for real? Like seriously, are they for real? Because they went covert in their operations via the CIA, and so they didn't actually make a declaration of war. And like, what are you trying to say now? Is he going to say that, oh, because we changed the name, we never won again. If we change it back, we'll win. What is this? How superstitious is that? Oh, if I wear these red socks whenever I pitch, then we win the game. But boy, I tell you, as soon as I don't wear these red socks anymore, we lose. So I need to wear these socks. I don't care how old they are, how holy they are. I mean, whole as in like H-O-L-E. So sorry for saying that word. But you see what I mean? Like, who's buying this crap? Who is buying this crap? Please, somebody let me know. Who's buying this crap?
Of Iraq and Afghanistan, that's to recognize that this name change is not just about renaming, it's about restoring. Words matter. It's restoring, as you've guided us to, Mr. President, restoring the warrior ethos, restoring victory and clarity as an end state, restoring intentionality to the use of force. So at your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense.
Bro, look at this way station. This is a way station right here. I mean, is this like the most laughable, like, ghetto looking? What the heck, bro? Anyway, sorry. Just, hey, what even is that?
It's not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct. We're going to raise up warriors.
Listen to these
not
words,
just
because
defenders.
words matter.
So this
They're
War
telling
Department,
you the carnage
Mr. President,
is coming.
just like America is back. Thank you for your leadership and your clarity. We're going to set the tone for this country. America first, peace through strength. Brought to you by the War Department.
Thank you very much. Very well stated. It really has to do with winning. We should have won every war. We could have won every war, but we really chose to be very politically correct or wokey, and we just fight forever. And then we'd, win, lose. We wouldn't lose really. We just fight the sort of tie. We never wanted to win wars that every one of them we would have won easily with just a couple of little changes or a couple of little edicts. I was told that ISIS would take 5 years to win, and Dan Kane, when I told him how long would it take, he said, I think about 4 weeks. said, what do you mean 4 weeks? I was told 5 years by the people in Washington. You know who they were. 5 years. I said, you can't do it in 4 weeks. I actually flew to Iraq to meet with him, and I met him at a big air base. And remember that famous day, right? It turned out to be a famous day for our country because you're now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is the biggest deal. And he is, because he did things that everybody said he couldn't do. So they said it was going to be 5 years, and he knocked them out in about 4 weeks total, 100%. We took over, and ISIS was gone, and pretty amazing. But we never fought to win, and now if we have to fight at all, you know, we solved 7 wars. We have the one that I thought was going to be probably one of the easier ones, and that's with President Putin and Ukraine. And that turned out to be one that's a little bit more difficult, but the 7 are done. They were supposed to be much more difficult to solve. I solved every one of them, and we're going to get the other one done too. But it turned out to be a little bit more difficult than I thought. And it'll get done, or they'll be held to pay. But because they're losing 6 to 7, it used to be.
So I just wanted to mention real quick too, because I heard him just say H-E-L-L. There is significance to that word. They're also saying on Al Jazeera that some like Minister of Defense for Israel or whatever it is said that all H-E-L-L is breaking loose on Gaza. They ramped up all their attacks. They've been live streaming a genocide for over 2 years, and the whole world is sitting on their hands not doing a dang thing about it because all the masses are asleep and under a spell. And you know, they test the waters, they see what kind of thing's going to fly. There's no pushback. Now they're all in, and their timing is aligning with their golden dawn being on the throne. Okay, so you're going to see that all the leaders of the entire world are actually very much in love with the dawn. Okay. But even if their roles cause them to play as if they're not, just like Hollywood celebrities pretend they're not, media people pretend they're not, whatever, the other side of the political aisle, that everyone has a role to play. The world is a stage, and this stuff is scripted, and the writers of the scripts are an ancient evil that is far more intelligent than man. But they are not above Yahuah. So Baruk Yahuah for that. Turn to Yahuah. Trust in Yahuah. I'm telling you right now, those who put their trust in these are entering into agreement with foreign mighty ones to be sealed in their right hand and forehead by the beast system, and they will be devoured. Please do not be among them. Please come out of her. Baruk Yahuah.
5. I used to tell you 5. Now it's almost 7. I guess 7,000 people last week. 7,813 people, young soldiers died. Russian and Ukrainian, not American soldiers. But it's a shame. It's just, you know, they're human lives, and I want to see it stop. But General Kane's done a fantastic job. And again, defeated ISIS, which they said would take a long time. And it didn't take a long time at all, and did other things that people said really couldn't happen. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest soldiers in the world. Dan, say a few words, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. It's a true honor for me today to represent the incredible men and women of America's joint force. Today and every day, the 2.8 million service men and women stand ready to fulfill our sacred duty to protect America at home and abroad. As the President said, America's military is the single most powerful fighting force in the world. The mission you and the Secretary have given us is clear and unambiguous: to deliver peace through overwhelming strength. And I remind everyone that the U.S. military can reach any adversary at the time and place of our choosing. Service to this nation is an incredible gift, and we're grateful and honored every day to do so. Thank you, Mr. President.
Who can make war with the beast?
Well, thank you, and it's an honor to sign this. And we will do that right now.
Unleash the beast. Pay attention, people.
I think that's a big one, I'll be honest. I think
See, they're so proud of themselves.
that's a big one. It's a big one. Do you have any questions on this subject? We're going to be discussing the G20 in a couple of minutes, but yes, please. No, right now.
The idea for this rebrand, question for you, the newly minted Secretary of War. What message does this send to our enemies, to our allies, to the American people? And again, what gave you the idea for this rebrand at this moment?
I think it sends a message of victory. I think it sends really a message of strength. We're very strong. We're much stronger than anyone would really understand. And again, you know, having the great equipment, we have just so much better. You look at all of the, just any of it, submarines as an example, we're 20 years ahead of anyone else. Nobody even compares. And I let a lot of this happen in my first term. You know, we totally rebuilt our military. And then, of course, you had that catastrophe in Afghanistan where they gave up a lot of the equipment, but a relatively small amount, but a lot. It was a lot in Afghanistan. I think it was the most, General, I'd say it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, the way that happened, the way they went to the wrong airport. They should have gone to Bagram, not the local little airport with no security, with tight quarters, etc. You know what happened. I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, frankly. That was under the Biden administration. It was terrible. And we were going to be leaving, but we were leaving with strength and dignity. We were going to keep Bagram because Bagram's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We're going to have that all to ourselves, a big, beautiful place built many years ago from money that today would be the equivalent of, you know, many, many billions of dollars. You couldn't build it. The longest runways, the most powerful runways in terms of load capacity. And we just walked away.
Stand by, guys. These people trying to call me. I do apologize. Just be patient. It'll be over here in a second.
So stupid. And they were fools. The people were fools. No, we have the strongest military, and I think that indicates we have the strongest military. And you know, we had it, and we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything before, and as I said, we won everything in between. And we were very strong, but we never fought to win. We just didn't fight to win. We didn't lose anything, but we didn't fight to win. We could have won every one of those wars quickly, but they went a route that I think was probably politically correct, but not correct for our nation. So I think the Department of War sends a signal. Yeah, please.
You alluded to this a little while ago. You said that this renaming is a good reflection of where the world is at right now. How do you square naming it the Department of War when you've been pursuing peace in so many different parts of the world?
Well, I think I've gotten peace because of the fact that we're strong. If we weren't strong, those 7 deals I told you about, the 7 wars, a majority of them wouldn't have happened.
And I'll repeat myself, but you know, like, I really do applaud that somebody clipped this and share it. All the people that are on the television and the mainstream media, the news people, whatever, are trained assets of the government mind control operation. Those questions aren't just some guy thought of a great question asked. It's scripted. It's part of the message that how he's meant to respond to the question. It's like you know how they'll be like, oh, those were softball questions that they gave Biden. They're all getting softball questions, fool. All of them. It's all a show. Please stop drinking the Kool-Aid.
They happen for 2 reasons: trade and our strength. Those are the 2 reasons. And probably strength may be more important than trade. So if we, I was very proud of all those wars. Those were wars that could not be settled, and I settled all of them. And we'll get the other one settled also. That'll get settled. But without the strength, we wouldn't have settled any of them. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, is it your expectation that Congress will codify this name change in the law?
I don't know, but we're going to find out. But I'm not sure they have to. We're signing an executive order today, but we're going to find out. We're going to see. If they do, we're going with it, and we're going with it very strongly. There's a question as to whether or not they have to, but we'll put it before Congress.
Do you know how much this rebrand will actually cost? And are there any concerns about, the Pentagon's mission of actually cutting back on spending?
Yeah, but not a lot. We know how to rebrand without having to go crazy. We don't have to recarve a mountain or anything. We're going to be doing it not in the most expensive. We're going to start changing the stationery as it comes due and lots of things like that. We're not going to be doing things like have been done in the past when they changed the name of forts that shouldn't have been changed. Those names of the forts should not have been changed, at least for the most part. And as you know, many of them have been changed back already. At the request of the communities, every one of those communities said, we want our name back, like Fort Bragg as an example. The people in that community wanted that name back. They refused to call it anything else but Fort Bragg. So we're not going to be spending very much money on that. Yes,
Sir, when you spoke with the Europeans and Zelensky earlier this week, did you preview this for them, and did you say what security guarantees they might be involved in?
This is nothing to do with anybody but the United States of America, the people of America. This is who I talked to about changing a name. It's a very important change because it's an attitude, and we know how to win. We've been winning, and we're going to win like you've never seen. Wait till these factories start to open up that are being built all over the country. You're going to see things happen in this country that nobody expects. We have over $17 trillion in investment coming into the country. We never did anything even remotely close to that. No other country has either, by the way. So you're going to see things that are pretty amazing, but it's really about winning.
And what about the security guarantees aspect of that with Ukraine, sir?
Well, we'll work that out. We'll help them. Look, we want to save a lot of lives, so we'll do something with that. I think people expect that. We'll help them. Europe will be first in.
It's very easy to think of different ways that they could stage this whole thing. So this commitment to help Ukraine, you could easily see how they send, even if it's just air support. So then what happens if Russia shoots down a U.S. aircraft? What do you think is going to happen? Whether it's a boat, a soldier, a plane, an asset on the ground like a structure, it's very, very easy for them to kick it all off. And they've done it time and time and time again. And they usually use some very huge, shocking, out of this world type of like event, like a Hindenburg or a September in New York or a Pearl that's out there in the middle of the sea. These things.
By far, and they want to be first, and they want to see it end. Europe wants to see it end, and it'll end. It'll end all of a sudden. It's going to come together. You watch. Yeah, did you want something right?
Yeah, double speak.
Yeah, behind you, please. Yes.
Yes, sir. Bold, decisive, offensive action to protect American values. Strikes in Iran, strikes this past Tuesday on the positively ID'd Tren de Iraq narco terrorists. Is that going to be a critical function of the Department of War moving forward?
And what is Sama trucking? What does that even mean?
The individual instance, we don't want drugs coming in from Venezuela or anybody else or any place else, so we'll be tough on that. And we don't want human trafficking. We don't want to see people coming in where they open their prisons from all over the world and they dump their prisoners into our country, which is what they did in the Biden administration.
And they're gonna be opening all the prisons simultaneously. You think they're not? Go ask Abba. Ask him. Ask him. They probably got one switch that places it all off. SETs it all off. Just like this whole idea of all the 911 systems across the entire United States becoming inundated and swamped with ghost calls that are not even real, that just overwhelm the entire system, so now they're not able to respond to anything because chaos. I think I'm joking.
Where they took insane asylums and places that held people that were seriously mentally ill, mentally incompetent, mentally dangerous, and they dumped those people into our country, and we're trying to get them out now. What they've done, what the Democrats and Biden have done to this country will go down in infamy. What they have done to our country, and especially that, they created the worst inflation we've ever had. That's nothing compared to what they did with the people in our country right now. And we're getting them out, and it's not easy when you have the liberal judges destroying our country. But we've won them all. We've won it all. Ultimately won it all. Hard process. It should be easier. We know who it is. We know exactly who we're looking for. We had 11,000 murderers dropped into our country. We've gotten a lot of them out. Or in some cases, they're so dangerous, we're afraid to get them out because they'd come back in. But for the last 120 days, 0 people came in. Can you imagine? This is me speaking, but these are figures developed by, they say, a pretty liberal group of people. They admit that 0 people came into our country. Think of that. A year ago, it was millions of people were coming in. Millions. They were coming in. You could look at them and you could say, big trouble. And that's what we have in our country. But we're getting them out, and despite that, we're doing really well. Yeah, please. Right? Yeah. Well, the recruitment's the most exciting thing. So when I was campaigning for the office, numbers were coming out that the recruitment numbers, generally, you can speak to it better than anybody, the recruitment into the military, all branches of the military, and police and firemen and everything else. Anything having to do with like a public service, the numbers were horrible, record-setting bad, and now they're record-setting good. We're setting every record every month for recruitment. We're packed in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. My beautiful I love Space Command. I see Space Command, but Space Force has been, we've got a waiting list of people wanting to go in. A year ago, especially a year and a half ago, when I took the lead in the polls, which was very early, it really helped with the recruiting. And when I won from November 5th on, it's been amazing. And over the last 4 or 5 months, we're just packed. It was very hard to get police officers. Now the departments are loaded up. Everyone wants to be a policeman or a woman. So it's been a great thing. General, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. As you said, serving our nation is an incredible gift that we give, and the reward on that gift pays back exponentially year over year. And I think the young people of America are seeing the importance of service, and whether it's in any of our armed services or in local police, fire and rescue, service is an important thing that I personally encourage, and I know everyone else in government service sees that same reward.
And Pete, on recruitment?
I was down at Fort Benning, the newly properly renamed Fort Benning, yesterday, watching Army basic training, and they're so full they can't barely handle the throughput. It is truly historic across all the services, as you said. It's been a surge into the, I was going to say the Defense Department, but I would say the War Department. And that you might almost call it a vibe shift, an attitude shift, a feeling that the country is back, that service is back. And there were military families last year, Mr. President, that said, I don't know if I can recommend, I wrote a book on this, I don't know if I can recommend service to my son or daughter, given what's been done to our military. You heard it over and over and over again. And I hear from those same military families right now, sir, and they're saying, I recommend to my kids that they go into this department, this Pentagon, under this commander-in-chief, who they know you'll have their back and they want to serve. So it is historic, and it's the biggest reflection of how motivated Americans are by your leadership, sir.
Really, it's...
Our generation
Sorry, it's
has
another
a choice.
pop-up.
Turn away from the world's problem.
Try to skip it.
Spirit, love for the country. I guess the esprit de corps, as they say, you have more of that than we've had maybe ever, frankly. But to see it turn over a period of less than a year, I would say, but to see it turn, nobody wanted to go into the military. Now everybody wants to go into the military. Jennifer, you want to?
Yeah, there's some new reporting on North Korea and this Navy SEAL incident in 2019. Can you say if the administration has engaged with North Korea on that incident since it happened recently?
Yeah.
And then can you share some recollection?
I don't know anything about it. No. I'd have to. I could look, but I know nothing about it.
Can you confirm that it happened?
I don't know anything about it. I'm hearing it now for the first time.
Okay, great. And then on the Hyundai incident in Georgia with the arrest of some workers, construction workers at the plant, have you heard any feedback from Hyundai?
I just heard about that a little while before the news conference, and I would say that they were illegal aliens, and ICE was just doing its job. But I know nothing about the instance. It happened a little while ago.
There has been some pushback on that, though, from South Korea already, and of course, they pledged to invest $150 billion in the U.S. when they were just here, last week. Are you concerned?
Well, and they have the right to sell cars and things in our country. It's not like a one-sided deal.
Are you concerned at all about, your immigration agenda potentially clashing with these economic goals?
Well, we want to get along with other countries, and we want to have a great, stable workforce. And we had, as I understand it, a lot of illegal aliens, some not the best of people, but we had a lot of illegal aliens working there. So, look, they're doing their job. That's what they have to do. These are people that came through with they came through illegally. They came into our country, so we have to do our job.
The now Department of War has been involved in the crime cleanup in D.C. You've tasked Congress with proposing and passing a crime bill. What are some things that you would really like to see codified in that crime bill?
Well, I think one of the things is the cashless bail. It's killing it. When that came out, the first time, that's when you saw the real big crime.
Another perfect example of the problem, reaction, solution. Go down the list, dude. Even all the stuff with the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, they created the problem, got your reaction, and now it's a solution. Cashless bail, liberal judges, whatever. They manufacture the issue, the crisis, the threat, okay? Just as it is with ISIS, MOSSAD, ALQIEDA, like all the things. You gotta see that. You can't see that. Is that really the narrow path? Or is that broad path still? Still trusted in the beast system somehow, some way. I'm seriously asking. I don't even think that there's much time left to try and sit there and explain this, because it's just going to pop off and it's going to be absolute chaos, and everyone will be known what they're putting their trust in. Just like when they rolled out the solution and people were making a choice, you could see what they were made of by the choice they made, and you knew it was done. There was a seal, S-E-A-L, of the flesh based on the spirit. Sealed in the Ruach already. Alright, so there's another divide. That's right in front of us here. And say choose wisely. Wisdom is synonymous with obedience and submission in the scriptures. Following the commands of Yahuwah is wisdom. Doing what's right in your own eyes is foolish, dark, opposite of light. Somebody see, somebody. Amen.
Start to happen. Cashless bail, what a disaster that is. You murder somebody, you don't have to put up bail, and you go out in the street and you murder somebody else. That's what's happened. It happens so often. And that's one of the things. And other of the things you're reading about, it's just standard, but just a certain toughness. I have to say, one of the elements of fascination for people over the last period of time has been what's happened to DC. So we've gone from one of the most dangerous cities in our country to what they call a safe city. It's a totally safe city. In fact, I set up dinner in Washington, D.C. next week. I wouldn't have done that, to be honest. I would have had an obligation not to do it before I came into office, or even at the very beginning when things were so corrupt and so dangerous out on the streets. So Washington, D.C. has had virtually no crime. We even have a mayor that's admitting to it, and she's a, liberal Democrat, in all fairness. She's a person that hasn't gotten exactly along with Republicans over the years. And she said she's never seen anything like it. So Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. We have virtually no crime. It's gone from the most unsafe city in the United States, almost, just about, to one of the safest cities, maybe the safest city in the United States. That's a tremendous compliment to our military, what we did. The National Guard's done a fantastic job. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can I ask about the border real quick? Florida House Speaker Daniel Perez was at the White House yesterday as part of a leadership summit.
Yes.
We understand you met with him separately. Mr. President, what did you talk about? And also, did you explore him running for Florida as a leader?
I didn't. We didn't talk about that, but he's done a fantastic job. He's respected all over the country, really. He's a leader, and he's done just a fantastic job. We didn't discuss anything having to do with his future. I'm sure he'd be very good at that.
My second question, Alligator Alcatraz, statement for a major ruling appeals. The court blocked the federal judge's order to close it, and if you remain open for now, your reactions?
I think they've done a fantastic job in building it, the governor and everybody else that's been involved. It's an incredible facility. It's housing people for usually a very short period of time before they get brought back to their countries. As you know, we focus on criminals before we focus on anybody else, and we're taking thousands and thousands of criminals out every month out of our country, some of them murderers. And I think Florida's done a great job by building it, and whether it's Alligator Alcatraz or anything else you want to call it, I was there. I visited with the governor, with other people. I guess Nikki was there. Tom Homan's been there a lot. A lot of people have been there from. It's an amazing facility for what it is. It's not a hotel. It's not supposed to be a hotel, but they've done a great job with it. I'm very happy with the judge's decision.
You also mentioned Venezuela. I want to ask one more follow-up question on that. The U.S. strike note tied to the Venezuelan drug cartel. The Maduro regime is pushing back today. In fact, they say the U.S. sees regime change through military threat. Your reaction to those words, and also, would you like to see regime change in Venezuela?
Well, we're not talking about that, but we are talking about the fact that you had an election which was a very strange election, to put it mildly. I'm being very nice when I say that. I can only say that billions of dollars of drugs are pouring into our country from Venezuela. The prisons of Venezuela have been opened up to our country. They've taken their prisoners, the worst prisoners, murderers, Tren de Aragua. The worst prisoners that you can ever imagine are now happily living in the United States of America. Now, many of them we've gotten out. It's not easy to get them out because of the liberal system that we're working with in many cases, not in all cases. But millions and millions of dollars and billions of dollars of drugs are pouring out of Venezuela and other countries. Look, China, what they're doing with fentanyl is a terrible thing. It comes through Canada and it comes through Mexico, but a lot of it's coming through Venezuela. Venezuela's been a very bad actor, and we understand that. And when you look at that boat, you see the bags of whatever it is there. Those bags those bags represent hundreds of thousands of dead people in the United States. That's what they represent. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, your reaction to the jobs report this morning?
Well, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. We have our great people here, so I'll talk that in a minute. Let's talk about this. We'll give a couple of them, because these two people want to get to work on the Department of War. So let's keep them first.
Mr. President, the DOJ is reportedly considering a ban on transgender people owning guns after the Minneapolis shooting. Do you think we should...
Are we talking in the military?
In general.
Okay, I thought you were talking about in the military. I'll refer to that then differently. Because it's not a military question, I'll be able to pass on that very nicely unless you'd like to talk about it. No, Pete doesn't want any part of that question. Yes, please.
Mr. President, who do you blame for losing India to China? You announced earlier today in the morning, you did put that out.
I don't think we have. I've been very disappointed that India would be buying so much oil, as you know, from Russia. And I let them know that. We put a very big tariff on India, 50% tariff, very high tariff. I get along very well with Modi, as you know. He's great. He was here a couple of months ago. In fact, we went to the Rose Garden and the grass was so soaking wet. It was such a terrible place to have a news conference. I said, well, let's use a beautiful white stone emblematic of the White House, okay? And it's been very well received. But we had a news conference on the grass. That was my last news conference I had on the grass because everybody sunk in. You probably sunk in. Every reporter out there, they ruined their shoes. We made that change. It's been a really well-received change. Yeah, please go ahead.
On Venezuela, you've said F-35s out of Puerto Rico. You've said naval vessels in the Caribbean. You're concerned about drugs being illegally sent into the
Yeah.
How do you describe this build-up, this situation?
Well, I just think it's strong. We're strong on drugs. We don't want drugs killing our people. I believe we lost 300,000. You know, they always say 95, 100,000. I believe they've been saying that for 20 years. I believe we lost 300,000 people last year. I know families that lost their son. Those families will never be the same. I know a family lost a daughter, a beautiful daughter. In fact, it was like she took something that she thought was like a minor deal, and it turned out to be riddled out with fentanyl. The size of the head of a pin, and you're dead. And no, we're stopping the drugs. We're going to save a lot of people. Look, whether it's 100,000, but it's not. It's 350,000 people died last year from drugs. And we're not going to let that happen to this country. Think of that. Think if you're in a war and you lose 300,000. We'll lose 600,000 in the, pretty much between Gettysburg and all of that, in the Civil War, we lost, 600,000. So we're losing half of that every year to drugs. We're not going to do it. We're not going to allow it to happen. You think of the wars. If we lost 600,000 people in a war, but we lose that every 2 years, more than that. So it's 300 to 350,000 people. And when I see boats coming in, like loaded up the other day with all sorts of drugs, probably fentanyl mostly, but all sorts of drugs, and we're going to take them out. And if people want to have fun going on the high seas or the low seas, they're going to be in trouble. I will tell you, boat traffic is substantially down.
All right, guys. Gonna possibly finish this up, but just gonna be a little bit. I need to make an important phone call, so be back with you shortly. All right, Baruk Yahuah. All right, I am back. Important phone call handled, and let's try to let this Trump video finish up and talk about it.
It's a runway to the United States, and boat traffic is very substantially down on the runway. You can imagine why. I think anybody that saw that is going to say, I'll take a pass. I don't even know about fishermen. They may say, I'm not getting on the boat. I'm not going to take a chance.
What happens if Venezuela flies jets over U.S. naval vessels?
Well, I would say they're going to be in trouble. We'll let them know about that. We heard that happen, but it wasn't really over, not like they described. But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they fly in a dangerous position, I would say that you can, you or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do, all right?
Sure. Wow. How is that for broadcasting the playbook, the plan, like, dude, hardcore. always said that, you know, we don't, unlike these weak leaders, we don't broadcast what we're going to do militarily before it happens to the world, but he just did in front of the whole world. He just told the general that he and his captains have the option to do whatever they deem necessary if Venezuela flies fighter jets over U.S. Navy ships.
Sir,
How close did they get?
we have one more.
President, you said they didn't go over.
Say it.
How close did they get? You said the planes did not.
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but if they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shut down. Thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to now cover the G20, and I'm going to let these people go back to the Department of War and figure out how to maintain peace. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Congratulations, General. Thank you very much. Great job.
Sir, just before G20, we do have one more EO for you today. And I should also say that the Department of War EO that you signed was actually your 200th EO since you came back into office on January 20th. That's more than Joe Biden did in his entire term in office, more than Obama did in either of his 2 terms in office. So it's a momentous accomplishment, and congratulations.
That's good, but Biden never signed one.
No, you've done every one up in here.
They've been signed by the autocrat, right? So we really beat him by much more than you think.
The 201st executive order, sir, this relates to hostages and wrongfully detained Americans. This provides a new legal mechanism to declare foreign countries to be countries that engage in those sorts of practices, and gives your administration powerful tools to get American hostages out. This has been a focus of your administration this time around. Adam Bowler's here, and he's done incredible work already. This will give him even more.
I think it's great, and Adam's amazing. So, Adam, do you want to describe how many hostages we've gotten out together, you and I, and you and a couple of other people that we know, and me and a couple of other people that you don't know, but we've gotten a lot of hostages. Do you want to describe it?
Mr. President, you brought back 72 hostages since your term. If we compare that to President Biden, he has gotten 20 taken. So he is negative 20 taken. 20 taken.
They don't take our people so often.
So, Mr. President, when we spoke, you said that that was a primary focus, and I'll tell you the job is easy because of you.
And we paid nothing, too.
We paid nothing.
They pay $6 billion. They always paid $6 billion for 5 people. $6 billion. It was just a number I kept hearing. Not only that, $6 billion plus we'd get like 1 person, and they'd get 6. They got one, the Prince of Doom, they call him. He was the #1 arms merchant anywhere in the world ever. And they got him out. And on top of that, we paid money. So, no, we don't do that. You know, once you pay money, then a lot of people start disappearing. They start grabbing reporters, too. They think the reporter is going to get a lot of money. And to me, they would. You'll be well taken care of. I better stress that, because otherwise we have headlines. He said this or he said that. No, I'm not smiling about it. But they would. They'd be grabbing reporters. They'd be grabbing everybody. And especially when you pay the kind of money that Biden and Obama, they used to pay money that was crazy. We don't pay. And if you don't pay, they find it to be not a lucrative business anymore. That's fantastic. Would you like to say something?
It's really Spihar, Special Envoy Bowler, it's Rick Grinnell, it's Steve Witkoff, who brought Americans home. But with this EO you are signing today, you are drawing a line in the sand that U.S. citizens will not be used as bargaining chips, and it provides your Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, the same tool set to punish states who take our citizens wrongfully, the same way that we can punish those who sponsor terrorists. This is a very significant EO you are signing today, sir.
Thank you, Sebastian. Very good. You're doing a great job, too.
And this is your Director for Hostage Affairs at the NSC.
Yes, and I hear.
So Julia was seminal as well to all of this.
I heard you're doing unbelievable. Would you like to say something?
Absolutely. It's a outstanding EO, absolutely unprecedented action against those foreign adversaries who would take our people. They now know they are on notice, and it's not acceptable. And if you take our people now, you will pay.
You know, Adam gave up a job where he was making tremendous amounts of money. Big stuff, top of the line Wall Street. And he wanted to do this. He wanted to do hostages. I offered him other jobs too, very big jobs. He said, I was shocked actually. He didn't want me. He wanted to do hostage negotiation. And pretty amazing. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for them on this very important subject?
I think it shows a lot of your leadership as far as fighting for Americans and fighting for Cubans, and to think that Joe Biden went in negative territory.
Oh, he went way negative.
Way negative, and you're actually making progress on this. I think this does send a message to the world that we don't negotiate, we're going to stay strong in that type of what they call business.
One little anecdote.
All right. That's enough of that. So I wanted to say something though with regards to October 7th, Israel, Gaza, hostages, and all the like. Let me just lock in this little section of the video and get another one started. Okay, so we talked about problem, reaction, solution a little bit in this assessment of Golden Dawn's EOs, and you can apply that playbook to the EO regarding hostages and treating any state actor who engages in U.S. hostage detainment as a terrorist, right? So now you can justify war action by your own documentation if there is a U.S. hostage situation. Now, the thing with the hostage situation, just like a lot of other actions on the world stage, they can be scripted, they can be manufactured, things can be staged. It's not difficult for these powers to do that. All the media machine will support the narrative that they promote, and whether it be true or not, it's portrayed as true and sold as true and believed as true by the masses. Okay? So take everything that I just said and apply that logic to what's happening in the Middle East right now for the last 2 years. And you probably don't hear a lot of people saying that. You don't probably hear a lot of people implying or indicating, but I did from the very beginning, but I was more on TikTok at that time. And there was a lot of evidence that was showing that even the military apparatus that were involved were doing what the classic definition that I've always known of a fried fish event or a false flag event is that you take a ship, say, and you fly the flag of another state, and then you do an act, a terrorist act, so that that other state can get blamed. But it wasn't really that state. You just put that state's flag up. So you were falsely flying the flag of another entity. This is the same thing that the scripture says about a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's flying the flag of a sheep, but it's not really a sheep. It's a wolf the whole time. Baruk Atah, man. Shalum Yahuah. And I do pull all this. Somebody takes that clip, basically from the beginning to the end here, and clip it out and share it, because most people can't endure all the other stuff to get to those, nuggets. Shalum Yahuah. Looks like we're gonna have a storm out the window.